This page is the cover of the Sega Saturn Fan Magazine. It features an anime-style girl lying on the grass with a large white dog. Some of the highlighted games on the cover are Super Robot Wars, F, concluding, Chapter Langrisser V, Grandia Digital Museum, Welcome to Pia Carrot 2, and Backgwin Rotor. It also mentions Pocket Fighter, Eternal Blue, Deep Fear, Magic Knight Ray Earth, Another Memories, and Black Matrix. The cover also notes a special bonus poster for Super Real Mahjong P7. The next page is an advertisement for the release of D2. The advert highlights the release of the game D2, developed by Warp, a sequel to the original D released 3.5 years prior. The story is set in the frozen landscapes of Canada, with the narrative beginning with a plane crash involving the character Laura. The game promises a blend of horror and emotion experienced through Laura's perspective, in a snow-covered world, rendered with full real-time 3D CG. Additionally, the advert announces a world's premium show event to celebrate the release, inviting 5,000 attendees to witness the game's debut. The event is scheduled for May 23, 1998, at Tokyo International Forum Hall A. Admission is free on a first-come, first-served basis. The event includes a movie, demonstrations, and a musical performance by Hideki Saijo, who will sing his song, Kizudarake no Laura. Attendees will receive special pamphlets and Laura dolls. There will also be a D2 promotional video. The bottom also promotes a website with the address http://warp.arena.ne.jp. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. This page spotlights the upcoming Sega Saturn summer releases, focusing on the simulation RPG Walkenrotor. It highlights the game's strategic AP system and introduces the sledge weapon, promising unique tactical possibilities. The page also teases other Sega Saturn titles, including Pia Carrot Iyukoso 2, Friends, Seishun no Kagayaki, Pocket Fighter, Deep Fear, Madu Monogatari, Another Memories, Black Matrix, and Lunar 2, Eternal Blue. The next page dives into Walkenrotor's strategic depth, focusing on the AP action point system. It explains how AP governs unit actions like movement and attacks, with different actions costing varying amounts of AP. The game allows for flexible action sequences, combining movement and attacks in any order. The page further details the 3 types of actions: actions, items, and healing. Actions relate to using switches, item usage allows the party to use items, and healing is for healing HP. It also highlights the importance of attack direction, with back attacks being more effective. Additionally, the page emphasizes the significance of terrain elevation, impacting attack power based on the height difference. The article also hints at strategic options like hit-and-away tactics for units with low attack, and advises to always attack units that have low HP. Walkenrotor features the sledge, a steam-powered weapon with an accelerometer for adjusting attack power. Overheating affects performance, disabling special attacks and reducing normal power. Players can mitigate this with skip turns or the wait command, depending on remaining AP. A black market allows for item customization of the sledge's attack power and heat emission, with equipment limited to 3 items at a time. The steampunk design, with analog meters and triggers, is highlighted, alongside 3D graphics and varied special attack animations with character-specific audio. Developers cite influences like Fire Emblem and Super Robot Wars, aiming for a strategically deep experience with accessible gameplay, projected for 40 to 50 hours of playtime. This page features Welcome to Sega Saturn, featuring a girl lying on the grass next to a dog. The page also includes an announcement for Pia Carrot Iyukoso 2. Welcome to Pia Carrot 2. This advert focuses on the NEC interchannel version of this visual novel/dating sim, detailing its debut event held at an Anna Miller's restaurant, in line with the setting of the game, also featuring voice actress Minami Nagasaki and waitresses in Pia Carrot uniforms. The content also mentions this Windows 95 romance simulation game will now be ported. Finally, there is a small table containing release date, developer, and platform information. The next page features more info on Welcome to Pia Carrot 2 focused on getting closer to the female characters while improving your stats. The page details the uniform selection feature at the start of the game, with 3 uniform types to choose from, impacting only the look. The PC version's most popular choice is the maid outfit. Character event art will also change based on the chosen uniform. One example is the idol type uniform, described as a sexy outfit. It goes on to explain how to raise your stats and improve relationships with the girls while working part-time. The game is set during summer vacation, and the player's actions and relationships with the girls will change based on their interactions and stats. The day is divided into 3 segments. During the morning, the player can perform actions in their room that affect their stats. Studying increases knowledge, jogging increases stamina, and using the phone or moving around affects interactions with the girls. In the afternoon, the player works a part-time job, working at the Pia Carrot family restaurant from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. There are multiple positions available, with differing skills and girls that you can see. Finally, at night, the player must not relax until they return to their dorm, and will encounter events that can affect their schedule. This page from Welcome to Pia Carrot 2 features the staff who support Pia Carrot, spotlighting various characters and their roles. First up is Yusuke Kinoshita, the manager of the Nakasugi street store. Then, there is Azusa Hino, a new addition to the staff and the sister of Mina Hino, who is a senior staff member in the store. There's Tsukasa Enomoto, who is transferring from the main store and described as having an overwhelming presence. Hageoi Minase is the mood maker of the workplace, known for being approachable, but having a contrasting private life. Ryoko Futaba is the trustworthy manager of the Carrot store, and Jun Kaburagi is responsible for tasks like warehouse organization. Finally, there is Sai Midori, who is in charge of dishwashing in the kitchen. There are also comments from customers, expressing appreciation for the staff's kindness. One parent shares a story about receiving help from the Carrot staff during a difficult situation. Others mention being drawn to the waitresses, especially Azusa. Additionally, there is a comment from manga artist Miko Shinohara, who frequently uses Pia Carrot for meetings with her editor. The page concludes with a promise to provide a summary of the story and original elements. The next page is titled, Experiencing a Summer Job at a Small Family Restaurant, which continues the Welcome to Pia Carrot 2 theme. The main character is late for a second interview at Pia Carrot due to an encounter with a girl he doesn't know. The characters featured are Koji, Azusa, and the girl he bumped into, who he later discovers is also interviewing. The characters have their own little stories and comments. There is also a feature on the Saturn version's original elements, including new characters added via cocktails and software, and a 2 Candelas release with enhanced CG images. The right page focuses on expanding RAM compatibility, highlighting the Friends title. It explains how using an expansion RAM cartridge can change the game. There's an interview with producer Takenshio Takeda, discussing how the expansion RAM cartridge improves loading times and graphics. The page claims a 25% speed increase, and discusses the benefits of using the expansion RAM cartridge for a smoother experience. There's a section on the latest development status, hinting at new scenes. There is a presentation of mousepads and calendars as prizes for 3 winners. This page features the Sega Saturn version of Pocket Fighter, highlighting its cute yet authentic style. It mentions that the game, previously popular in arcades, is now on the Saturn. The description emphasizes the deformed characters and the accessible yet deep gameplay, noting the charm of the characters moving around on the screen. The page mentions that the Saturn version fully supports 4 meters RAM. It also details the 4 play modes: arcade battle, free battle, running battle, and training. The article notes that the Saturn version faithfully recreates the arcade experience, with the addition of 3 original modes. It showcases 12 characters from Capcom's fighting game history, all rendered in super deformed style for lively battles. The special moves have been adapted to the game's fun atmosphere. Gookie and Dan, who were hidden characters in the arcade version, are selectable from the start. The page ends by calling Pocket Fighter's gameplay deep and intriguing, despite its simple appearance. Screenshots show in-game action, including Sakura's victory pose, and mentions the character's costume changes and item-based combat as appealing elements. The reviewer signs off with, Next page will describe the Pocket Fighter system. Pocket Fighter's gameplay features 5 key elements. Basic attacks use directional buttons and P, K, and S buttons, with S activating special moves like mighty combos and guard crushes. Flash combos, chained sap and seek inputs, alter attack types, and can end in throws. Gems, collected by breaking chests or hitting items, power up special moves and activate mega crushes. Additional special moves, like guard crush, are taught. Mighty combos are powerful combos triggered when the gauge is full. Gameplay tips include level-up benefits, gem size variations, and opponent gem release. The reviewer recommends 4 meters RAM for optimal play. This page delves into Deep Fear, revealing more about its setting, story, and gameplay. The game is described as a horror adventure, and there's an interview with the composer, Kenji Kawai. Several characters are introduced. Muki Kalia, the youngest member of Ayers and John's partner. Dubois Amalric, the architect behind Big Table. Danny Reynolds, a blue-collar foreman. John Mayer, the protagonist and former Navy SEAL. Gina Wisberg, a genius molecular biologist. Sharon State, a determined freelance camerawoman. And Clancy Dawkins, the commander of Big Table. Gameplay elements include an air meter, health points, and weapon ammo. There's speculation about a mysterious timer. This page explores Deep Fear, focusing on the narrative and in-game events. The story involves a crisis at Big Table, a deep-sea facility, with the nuclear submarine Seafox going haywire. The article details key moments, such as John teaming up with Mookie to protect Drive Wisberg, the oxygen levels dropping in the Navy area, John investigating fires on the Seafox, and encounters with monsters. There's also a rescue mission, and a twist involving Stella, John's deceased fiancée, appearing as Dr. Wisberg. The page includes an interview with Kenji Kawai, discussing the game's sound design and his approach to creating a sense of dread and unease through music, as well as insight from the game's director about the Deep Fear's creature design and setting. The next page features Madu Monogatari for the Sega Saturn, a new installment in the RPG series starring familiar characters like Arl. It highlights the game's revamped system and map design, promising a fresh experience with an emphasis on the storyline. The page announces a complete overhaul of the game for the Saturn, presenting a brand new original experience. The gameplay shifts from 3D dungeons to a quarter-view perspective, streamlining exploration and focusing on story elements. Fan-favorite characters such as Arcele and others venture into the world with a map that features towns and dungeons that can be clicked to enter. Dungeons will have traps and will feature a slanted perspective to view the entire map. Screenshots showcase dungeon environments with unique terrains and characters, including Arle, Rulyu, and Sketso, who have updated stats, are featured throughout the page. This page dives into the world of Madu Monogatari on the Sega Saturn, highlighting the familiar characters Arle Naja and Carbuncle. The game features appearances from characters from Puyo Puyo Sun, adding to the excitement. The game uses a party system, where Arl teams up with characters like Rulu, a martial artist, with parties supporting up to 3 members. As the adventure progresses, the party members can change, introducing characters like Draco Centauros and Witch, who were previously rivals. Rulu is described as Arkel's rival and a passionate individual. The combat system is a side-view battle setup, where players take on enemies with magic and skills. Defeating enemies is the key to survival. The more you defeat, the more enemies will attack. Special moves deal heavy damage and have flashy animations, with each character having unique skills, such as Rulyu's Rock Crush Fist and Sketso's Division technique. The game introduces familiar enemies that attack Arle. And even though the enemies are cute, they can be dangerous, with one picture showing Arle being attacked with a giant syringe, and another with an incoming onslaught of Puyo. The next page introduces Another Memories, a dating sim adventure game for the Sega Saturn. It focuses on elements like the ego system and early game events. The game is about Genus, and has childhood memories, where he gets a present from a girl but hurts her feelings, then she moves away, and he wonders where she is now. It explains the importance of ego during conversations and events. The ego parameter represents the protagonist's self, and selecting choices that please others can increase their affection. However, it depletes ego. When ego is low, the best choices become unavailable. There are events for improving ego, such as playing in town, And there are part-time jobs like being a waiter or chimney sweep to restore ego. The page also discusses the training aspect to prepare for battles, and how taking courses increases fatigue, and also the battle system, which uses two types of cards: element cards and spell cards. Element cards deal damage, and spell cards provide barriers, poison, or special effects. This page continues the introduction of Another Memories. Genis. The game's story involves Genis entering a magic academy, with his encounters and memories, with various girls shaping his path. He meets characters like Akurian, Tiaka, and Charlotte, and gets roped into the Magic Research Society by Mick. The game explores seasonal events, such as summer vacation with a seaside trip, a summer festival, and the winter solstice festival, creating special memories with the characters. The page shows Genas with the various female characters through the seasons, from Asarian and Tiaka as classmates, to Genas meeting the quiet girl at school, and the winter solstice festival with Taika. It also highlights events such as a summer festival, where a Trian tastes food for the first time, and the characters are shown together preparing a cake. The characters introduced include Rika, Claire, Emilian Evans, Doris, Bianca, Milligan, Kernanglahor, and Saver Stewart. Lastly, there is an autumn section where Genas must partner with Beasta for a Magic Academy exam. The next page features Black Matrix, a tactical simulation RPG for the Sega Saturn. It's highly anticipated and promises deep character information crucial for gameplay. This page highlights 5 central characters: Domina, Kreos, Plaha, Mishet, and Prika, and their unique personalities through their dialogue. It discusses the relationship between the player and these characters, who are initially presented as masters. The story begins with a peaceful everyday life filled with love, which is then disrupted by inquisitors. The player must deepen their emotional connection with their master in the first chapter to enhance their experience in the subsequent chapters where they pursue them. The page also touches on the battle system, where character stats and conditions like fatigue and death influence combat tactics. There are 3 response types during enemy turns: counterattack, defend, and evade. Lastly, the page introduces a fan-voted popularity ranking for the 5 playable masters in Black Matrix. This page introduces Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, for the Sega Saturn, emphasizing the enhanced visual scenes and battle system compared to the Mega CD version. It showcases the full-screen movie scenes and improved CG graphics. The page describes key scenes: the opening where Hyro and Ruby meet Lucia in the Blue Tower, a mysterious relief depicting a goddess-like woman, and Lucia awakening in a crystal. Character expressions enhanced by digital coloring are featured, displaying emotions like bravery, grinning, surprise, and shyness. The article introduces main characters: Lucia asleep in a crystal in the snow, Lemina a descendant of Mia from the first lunar, and Ronfar, who looks older than his 19 years, and Ruby floating upside down. The next page of the magazine focuses on the battle system in Lunar 2, Eternal Blue for the Sega Saturn, introducing the Emblem System and Combination Magic. The Emblem System upgrades the 4 dragon emblems from the Sega CD version, granting characters new abilities and magic. Even characters without certain magical abilities can use them by equipping the appropriate emblem. There are 26 emblems in total, found throughout the story. Emblems also enhance character stats like attack power and movement. Combining specific emblems unlocks combination magic, which are more potent than standard magic. The page also includes comments from the voice actors, who have reprised their roles from the Sega CD version. This section features photos of the voice acting cast, including Hikaru Midorikawa, Hiro, Yuko Mizutani, Lucia, Kumiko Nishihara, Ruby, Megumi Hayashibara, Lemina, Aya Hisakawa, Jean, Ryotaro Okiya-yu, Ronfar, and Kumiko Watanabe, Mori. There is also a promotion where 3 lucky readers can win an autographed script from the voice actors. Lunar 2, Eternal Blue is listed as a Sega Saturn exclusive RPG, and the release date is July 23, 1998. The game consisting of 2 seeds will be available for the price of 6,800 yen. This page highlights 2 games for the Sega Saturn. Firstly, there's Another Memories, described as a self-evolution system game, with pastel-drawn event scenes and a blend of story and gameplay that involves creating roles to deal damage and card battles with interconnected multi-story elements. It was released on July 2, 1998, for 5,800 yen, excluding tax. An offer is mentioned, where those who purchased the Sega Saturn version between July 2nd and July 31st could receive a special clear file. Secondly, there's Karyotos, a 3D action game with simple controls and rules that supports 14 players.
Players can kick each other off floating stages.
It's slated for release on June 4th for 4,800 yen, excluding tax, and supports up to 6 players via multitap. The game features various stages with unique gimmicks and a diverse cast of characters voiced by a group of talented voice actors, including
Takeshi Ayono, Yuko Nagashima, Yumi Toma, Daiki Sakaguchi, Chiaki Takahashi, Makiko Omoto, Ai Maeda, Eriko Fujimaki, and Misa Futaki.
The next page features the game Osama Gemu, King's Game, a 2-disc set where you pick idols for a battle and command them in a penalty game. It was released on May 28th for the Sega Saturn and cost 6,800 yen, excluding tax. The page promotes iDushphone Personal, a service to get the latest information on your mobile phone or PHS by dialing number 9991. There are instructions on how to get an Ifloid and collect information, including dialing numbers and navigating menus. Several rooms are listed with names like Evangelion, Tokimeki Memorial, Slayers, Sakura Wars, and Rurouni Kenshin, suggesting various content categories. The page also includes a warning about inappropriate content and restrictions. This page is about the game Waku Waku Monster, a puzzle game where you raise monsters. The main element of the game is an intense puzzle battle, where you clear blocks to raise a gauge for attack and defense. By winning puzzle battles, your monster grows, with over 50 types of monsters available. The monster's attributes change based on the color of blocks you feed it, impacting its personality and appearance. The page details the gameplay, which involves connecting 3 or more blocks of the same color to clear them. Special blocks like Y and flash blocks add variety. The game includes a story mode where you choose a character and battle to raise your monster through 10 stages. The game also has a 2-player versus mode. The monster raising aspect is highlighted, showing how different colored blocks affect the monster's attributes and appearance. The page shows screenshots of gameplay and examples of how monsters evolve. It lists 6 types of blocks: blue, food; yellow, strength; red, handsome; green, mean; purple, cute; and white, unpredictable. The next page is a feature on how to collect and enjoy creating magic in the game World's End. The setting is on the Island at the End of the World, a fantasy world where magic is common. The goal is to become a great magician by creating various spells using materials found on the island. The page outlines 4 key points for learning magic: studying magic knowledge, collecting ingredients, using a research lab for mixing, and mastering the spells. There are about 75 types of magic, divided into 8 categories: attack, exploration, beast taming, conversation, natural transformation, creation, enchantment, and oddities. Players can select one of 3 female characters, each with their own personality. The game involves completing tasks given by a master magician at the magician's house, and collecting materials to create magic. The fields are in polygon style, with adjustable viewpoints. Successfully creating a spell involves a combination of learning, gathering materials, and understanding the magical formulas. The page also hints that there are 150 types of ingredients for creating spells.
This page is a feature on World Cup 98 Road to Win, the latest in the Victory Goal series of soccer games from Sega, allowing players to simulate the entire World Cup 98 tournament with teams from around the globe. The key mode is the World Cup 98 mode, where players can select any national team and compete for the championship. The game has enhanced graphics and refined gameplay, and also brings back popular features like match customization and player transfers. The game features commentary from well-known soccer figures such as commentator Yasuke Kotani, former Japan national team members Kazuo Kimura and Yoshitaka Kaneda, and navigator Katsuhiko Kaneko. The Road to France mode allows players to replay Japan's qualifying matches, reliving the drama of their journey to the World Cup. If successful, players get to experience a celebratory movie, and if not, they have to fight for the final spot against Australia. Screenshots show in-game action with players like Nakayama and Miura. The page also features a section called Cone Head Club, Free, 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 which is a reader-submitted content section. Topics include reader experiences with games, such as Sakura Wars 2 and
Tokimeki Memorial Special Edition.
There's also a manga section where readers submit their own comics.
This page ends with a few readers' submissions and short comments about characters. The next page is a fan submission form from the magazine, likely for the Saturn fan section. The form includes spaces for personal information like address, name, pen name, phone number, and age. There are designated areas for game achievement records and a section called Conehead Club. It also includes a note stating that this postcard is for submitting content to Saturn Fan, which can include letters, illustrations, and more, reminding contributors to mark the appropriate corner. There's a brief instruction to readers that you can use any kind of postcard to submit the entry, but if you use the official postcard, it makes it easier. This page is a collection of fan-submitted content, including illustrations and comments, categorized into different game-themed supporter groups. We are supporters. Imperial Assault Force. Sakura Wars 2 is featured with art and comments on the characters. Paradigm S. A mixed bag of fan art and comments with soul hackers and characters featured. Dragon Force Friends Association, featuring Dragon Force 2, comments about how the game is played.
Grandia Knights, fan art of the Grandia series. Vampire Groovy, related to Neon Genesis Evangelion with fan comments. Vampire Groovy, related to various games including Dragon Force. Conehead Club, featuring art and comments related to various games. 17th Illustration Hall of Fame announces the winners. The first place winner is Mr. Yukino Shinji, who drew D.F. Reinhardt.
The next page features various fan submissions and comments, grouped into different corners. The first section, Kids Hope, discusses the portrayal of female characters in dating simulation games, comparing them to 80s idols, and questioning the lack of evolution in their design. It also touches upon the difficulty some players, particularly casual ones, face with the high skill ceiling of many modern games. Corn Kids Network Board includes fan-submitted nicknames and their origins, as well as opinions on the Tokyo Game Show, particularly regarding the focus on voice actor events. Sega Am Freak showcases fan art related to Sega games and characters. My Favorite Game features a recommendation for Angelique Special, describing it as a revolutionary work that allows players to manipulate and exploit male characters. Another recommendation is for Hudson's Virus, praising its graphics, story, and immersive atmosphere. There's also Corn Kids Q&A, where the editors answer questions about the magazine's review process and discuss the potential for bias in their ratings. The newsletter deadline section provides instructions on how to submit content to the magazine. Finally, there's an illustration gallery showcasing fan art of various games and characters, including Black Matrix and King of Fighters. The next page is a reader survey and gift section. Readers are invited to fill out a questionnaire to win prizes. There are sections for listing the games they've played, their favorite games, and opinions on the magazine itself. The page also lists upcoming Sega Saturn games slated for release around May 14th, with titles such as Game Basic for Sega Saturn, Digital Monster, Deep Fear, Magical Knight Ray Earth, and Virtual Mahjong 3. In the questionnaire are several titles listed. Some are Pocket Fighter, Another Memories, Luan 2, Eternal Blue, World Cup 98 France, Road to Win, Japanese National Team, and Langrisser vs. There are various tables and lists related to game consoles, magazines, and software. The questionnaire covers a range of topics, including the reader's occupation, age, and gender, as well as their preferences for different types of games and magazines. There is also information on how to fill in the form correctly. This page appears to be a categorized list of Sega Saturn software titles, grouped by genre. The genres include action, role-playing, 2D shooting, simulation RPG, 3D shooting, sports, puzzle, table, and other. In the action genre, there are games such as Clockwork Knight, Astal, Street Fighter, and Vanabarian. The role-playing section includes titles like Virtual Hydride and a number of games.
In the 2D shooting category, there are titles such as Layer Section and Gundai. To simulation RPG section lists Riglord Saga, Dragon Force, Super Robot Taisen, Tactics Games, Langrisser. The 3D shooting section has games like Panzer Dragoon. The sports category lists titles like Pebble Beach Golf, baseball, and soccer titles, and more. In puzzle games, there are titles such as Shanghai S. The table category lists games such as Mahjong. The final section is titled Other and mentions games like Side Pocket and more. There is also a smaller section titled Readers Present, which lists the names of some games. This page presents a special feature related to the Sega Saturn game, Pro Baseball Team Otsukuru, and the results of a tournament among skilled players. The aim of the feature is to determine the best player in Pro Baseball Team Otsukuru, a tournament involving 128 teams divided into 4 blocks, A, B, C, and D, is detailed. Each block's tournament bracket is shown, indicating the progress of teams and their scores. And finally, each block competes against the other in a final league. Information about the game's release date, February 19th. Publisher, Sega. Genre, simulation, and other details are also provided. The page concludes with screenshots and comments about interesting moments and bugs. The next page discusses the Championship League battle in Pro Baseball Team Otsukuru, aiming to determine the strongest team. It features 4 teams competing in the final league. Chiba Marines led by Imori, and teams led by Isaka, Takeuchi, and Furukazu. There is analysis of each team's strengths, focusing on key players like Kazuhisa Ishii, various strategic considerations, and a password to unlock the winning Chiba Marines team. The page also includes a listing of key players and their stats, like top pitchers and home run hitters, guidance on how to improve players through seasonal training, a flowchart for the 13 scenarios in Neon Genesis Evangelion, Second Impression. This includes a complete scenario data list that covers the branching paths in the game. Featured scenarios include Rescue of Trays, Sora and the Land Beast, and 38 scenarios in all, a 2-part strategy for the game, and an interview with Hironobu Kageyama. Details of various games like Neon Genesis, Evangelion, Second Impression including release dates, developers, and genres. This page focuses on walkthroughs and strategies for Super Robot Wars F, Final Chapter. It details Scenario 20, Rescue of Trays, where the objective is to defeat all enemies under specific conditions related to unit deployments and available upgrades. Key units like the Bilbine and Z Gundam are highlighted for their roles in suppressing enemy forces early in the game. Scenario 21, Trays Stands, outlines a strategy for defending a key base against incoming enemies, involving characters like L and Judao. It also explains how to recruit Todd during the battle against the Bishat forces, and focuses on the importance of quickly securing the central base and managing the enemy units effectively. Enemy unit lists, reinforcement details, and enhanced parts for the game are mentioned. This page delves into strategies for various scenarios in Super Robot Wars F, Final Chapter. Scenario 22, Doman's Crisis, Super Mode Activation, focuses on a battle against Mike Lolo and Chapman, where either can be targeted based on preferred upgrade parts. This scenario features a battle event focused around Master Gundam and Doman. Scenario 23, The Training on the Guyana Highlands, involves a strategy for defeating all enemies, focusing on key units like Doman, Rain, and others. Scenario 24, Bion the Todd, discusses a scenario where the player either escapes or is caught by Todd. The strategy involves maneuvering in the left city area, specializing in long-range attacks against enemy units like the Leprechaun, and concentrating attacks on key enemies like Drake and Todd. The scenarios feature various enemy units and pilots, plus upgrade parts to consider when taking on the challenges in the game. The page also highlights the abilities of the God Gundam when Doman's spirit reaches a certain level. The next page continues with Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter Strategies, focusing on scenarios 25 to 27, covering tactics, enemy placements, and unit builds. Scenario 25, Boston Nihiwakurete, involves rescuing Todd, who starts amidst enemy units, focusing on using mental commands to protect him. You can lure the Black Knight and Drake. Scenario 26 is a real scenario, Atarashi Chikara, and Scenario 27 is a super scenario, Kensei Shao Tushi, where the unit that appears is either the real series Huckabine or the super series Grungust. It lists the enemy units for each scenario, including their levels and pilot data, also giving advice and upgrade parts. The page emphasizes defeating the Aura Battler units first, leveraging long-range attacks, and prioritizing targets like Jared and Mauer, while warning against being overwhelmed by the latter's 2-turn attacks. This page covers Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter Scenarios 28 and 29. Scenario 28 is titled Time Limit Front, with victory requiring the annihilation of all enemies, and defeat occurring upon the destruction of all allied units. It emphasizes dealing with a series of 5 turns of reinforcements, appearing at points A through E on the map, urging players to eliminate enemies methodically and not to rush across the river. The game features units like Dogoskier, Psycho Gundam Mk2, and Ashimar, as well as pilot data and reinforcements appearing on certain turns. The page also features an image of Go and Psycho Gundam Mk2 in battle, recommending players to deploy their units at a distance and attack all at once. They mention that, as a bonus, if after the 15-turn limit the player manages to defeat all other enemies, the enemy will withdraw. Scenario 29, Time Limit Rear, continues the previous scenario, where victory is achieved by moving to the detonation device before the turn limit and defeat occurs after a certain number of turns. It focuses on using the character Alan to speed up the clear, advising players to use Alan to provoke enemies and move towards the detonation device, providing an alternative strategy for frontal assaults. The page lists enemy units, pilots, levels, and numbers, and gives advice on how to use new type characters. The next page discusses scenarios 30 and 31 of Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter. Scenario 30, at the end of ambition, requires you to defeat all enemies to win. Failure occurs if all allied units are destroyed. This scenario emphasizes waiting for the enemy rather than rushing into battle, especially when facing the initial wave of Ashimar and Hambrabi units. It highlights the importance of defeating Fao with Camille and the Psycho Gundam to trigger an event with potential story implications. Additionally, players should note the conditions for enemy withdrawal, such as defeating Jared or Mauer and reducing Bishot's HP below 75%. Scenario 31, Elegy for Different Things, tasks the player with defeating all enemies while preventing all allied units from being destroyed. Key units such as Amuro, Quattro, Daba, Masaki, and Shao are deployed at the start. The guide advises crossing the river to engage Bishot's forces, forming a line of defense, and gradually defeating the Drake and Shot's armies. It also offers information on potentially triggering an event where Muzi and Drake self-destruct if they survive, and the Black Knight is defeated. Finally, if Todd is on the map at the end of this scenario, the player will get Todd's custom Dunbine unit. The next page covers scenarios 32 in Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter, titled Beasts of Sky and Earth. The victory condition for the scenario is either defending the space base for 7 turns, or defeating all enemies on the ground map. Defeat results if the base is invaded, or all allied units are destroyed. The guide recommends focusing attacks on the Garaba team initially. It introduces newly added units from scenarios 2032, offering modification suggestions and battle tactics for each. The God Gundam is highlighted as a key unit, with its true potential unlocked in Super Mode, with Spirit over 130. Gaining new weapons and increased stats for Doman. The LGAIM-MK2 is another unit discussed, focusing on its close combat abilities and recommending Pilot Todd's proficiency. The Huckabine is the best real robot and focuses on its ranged capabilities with the Black Hole Cannon. The Grungust, a super robot, emphasizes its powerful close-range attacks, particularly the K2 Rakuken Anken Satsu. The page also lists enemy units, pilots, levels, and numbers for the scenario, along with reinforcement details appearing at specific turns and locations. It mentions that certain enemies have unique upgrade parts. The guide notes that persuading Allenby with Doman and Rain will result in an automatic failure, but it can still be attempted for story purposes. This page showcases 6 scenarios in Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter after route selection, including the Runaway Solo Ship, Betrayal on the Lunar City, Legend of Infinite Ides, Decisive Battle, Neo Tokyo 2, and Those Who Inherit Fate. Runaway Solo Ship focuses on the solo ship encountering the Ideon. The outcome hinges on either destroying all enemy mechs or storing Ideon in solo ship after turn 2. Betrayal on the Lunar City has the solo ship crew meeting the Londo Bell team. Legend of Infinite Ides features the Londo Bell and solo ship teams confronting the Bath clans. Decisive Battle Neo Tokyo 2 recreates the Yashima operation from the Neon Genesis Evangelion anime. Those Who Inherit Fate features the Londo Bell-facing guest units as the Evangelions struggle against Zeruel. The page suggests enjoying the mayhem caused by Mazinkaiser. The featured mechs include Ideon, Getter Robo, and Evangelions. The next page presents a special interview with Hironobu Kageyama, the Flame Super Robot Singer. It highlights his thoughts on Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter, where he discusses his early experiences with the game, finding it complex initially, but growing to appreciate the emotional and exciting aspects of the battles. Kageyama mentions playing the game and being captivated by the dramatic moments when allied robots appear to assist, fueling his passion. He admits he is not very far into the game and still learning. He has named his main character Kage-chan. Kageyama expresses his admiration for the pioneers of super robot music, like Ichiro Mizuki, Mitsuko Hori, and Isao Sasaki, viewing them as royalty. He hopes to continue their legacy and pass on the spirit of super robot music to future generations. He also shares his thoughts on the upcoming live performances, mentioning he wants to make the show very memorable. He ends with a message about how lucky he feels to be a part of the super robot boom. This page features a special interview with voice actors and personalities from the Super Robot Spirits radio show, including Ichiro Mizuki, Hironobu Kageyama, and Maki Suzuki, where they talk about the show. The show is described as lively and passionate, with Suzuki adding a refreshing touch. The radio hosts find the show very energizing, almost like a live concert. They also talk about how they will be playing Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter. They aim to be representatives of the super robot boom, creating a community where listeners can share their joys and sorrows, and offering high-energy content, including discussions on Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter, and a drama adaptation of Mazinkaiser. Additionally, the page announces the Super Robot Spirits Tour 98 live event in June, detailing dates, venues, ticket information, and prices for Osaka and Nagoya. There's a section dedicated to fan submissions, inviting illustrations, Carrera fights, and text-based content, with prizes like original phone cards for the winners. The page ends with a Mio's little chat corner, hinting at hidden secrets within games, specifically about fifth children in Londo Bell. It also includes a quiz about mysterious mobile suits, asking readers to identify them and explain how they were obtained. The next page is a book for Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter, published by Tokuma Intermedia MOOC. It's an all-color guide promising complete coverage of the game, including enemy data, stage maps, and unit stats. The book boasts detailed data, easy-to-read maps indicating enemy positions and reinforcements, and comprehensive event coverage, explaining how to recruit enemy pilots, obtain hidden units, and train efficiently. The page lists several PlayStation titles with prices, including Breath of Fire 2i, Gallop Racer 2, Crime Crackers 2, and a romance game. The Saturn games listed are Team Super Robot Wars F. This page is a strategy guide focusing on raising a new recruit named Landy in Landy R Reinforce. The guide offers advice on how to train Landy, including understanding the strengths and weaknesses of training partners and the importance of maintaining good relationships with them. It highlights that selecting different trainers impacts which stats increase more, and that training can be easy to difficult, which impacts stat growth and fatigue. The guide emphasizes the importance of balancing work and relationships, and the need to avoid canceling dates as it can negatively affect Landy's evaluation. Different training methods are listed, such as practical investigation, basic training, and mock battles. The guide mentions that the game has minigames and date scenarios. The page lists dates in the game such as Angela and Tag, minigame, Sakya, Nana and minigame, Dating at the Beach, Emp Guard Duty, Patrol with Kidnapping Organization, and Undercover Investigation. It notes that Landy's career path at the end of the first year depends on the player's choices and training efforts, possibly leading to roles as a searcher, commander, or inspector. The next page presents a complete attack and analyze strategy guide for the game Baroque, focusing on the early stages. It highlights key techniques for navigating the game, emphasizing the importance of battling enemies one-on-one to avoid being overwhelmed. The guide touches on how to handle special characters encountered along the way, such as the Cursed Angel, who can synthesize or restore items, and the Mind Reader, who offers bones or patterns in exchange for items.
It also advises using the Sense Orb to transport items for later use. The guide suggests employing ranged attacks against dangerous enemies and advises using elemental attributes for additional damage. The page includes tips on speeding up sword attacks by exploiting obstacles. The page provides various in-game screenshots. This page is another part of the Complete Attack and Analyze strategy guide for Baroque, focusing on the early enemies that appear. It provides information on various enemies, including their characteristics and strategies for dealing with them, such as Moon, Cater, Ares, Bolga, 17th, Grillo, Jairo, and Leah. Each enemy has a feature and countermeasure section. The page also touches on item usage, specifically identifying items with unclear effects. It advises players to throw questionable items at enemies to determine their effects. It also suggests combining certain items for better results, giving the example of using a gathering device with a large explosion device. It also shows the construction of standard items and describes how to use them to create special effects, with a small table of effects. The next page continues the Complete Attack and Analyze guide for Baroque, detailing available items, burning marks, like healing and endurance marks, and various forms, such as storm forms, flying forms, and fossilized forms. It lists the effects of different swords, including the Heavenly Angel Gun, and its ability to exterminate abnormal beings, along with various swords affecting stats, critical hits, or elemental damage. It also describes the properties of containers, such as boxes containing various items or effects. The guide provides information on injection fluids, like cooling, detoxification, and hope elixirs, types of punishment tools, such as the collection tool, storm tool, and flying tool, and insects that can parasitize the player or enemies, providing different buffs or effects. There is a section on bones, including the effects of different bones, that provide bonuses or inflict negative status effects. This page presents a comprehensive analysis of Special Commander techniques in Dragon Force 2. It emphasizes the importance of mastering these techniques to gain a strategic advantage in battle. It breaks down the techniques into 3 categories: those that change the stats of a commander or their troops, unique commander-only techniques, and offensive magic. The page highlights the healing and resurrection techniques as particularly valuable, and touches on strategies involving commanders with both. It lists numerous offensive magic techniques, detailing their attributes, targets, MP cost, power, and a brief description of their effects. Some of the techniques mentioned include Volcano, Fairy Ray, Dagger Throw, Sonic Boom, and Cross Slash, among many others, categorizing each spell and its potential on the battlefield. The page also promotes Friends Association Extra Edition Part 2, a collection of setting materials. It briefly recounts the narrative leading up to Dragon Force 2, mentioning key characters like Wayne, Tyrus, Leon, and Jupernon, and the events that led to a new war. The next page is an article about unlocking hidden modes in Mobile Suit Gundam, Giran's Greed, and strategies for the game. It focuses on how to unlock the hidden modes for the Principality of Zeon and Neo-Zeon factions. For the Principality of Zeon mode, the key is to ensure Garma dies during the Federation Fleet Gathering event after conquering Belfast. This requires careful planning and having the solar ray weapon developed. You also need to prevent Neo-Zeon from forming and raise Caecilia's rebellion rating. For Neo-Zeon, the key is to raise Char's rebellion rating. This is achieved through various events, and it's essential to have both Lala and Chalia available. The article also gives guidance on how to make Lala and Chalia available by playing through the A Bawa Kwa battle and choosing the correct options. The article then offers a basic strategy for both factions. Quickly capture Side 3 to cripple the Earth Federation. The key is to focus on capturing key locations rather than trying to destroy the enemy forces entirely. Then, prioritize capturing Abewa Kwan and Solomon. Capturing Luna 2 allows for a ground invasion, with Jaburo as the final target to achieve complete victory. The next page is about Mobile Suit Gundam, Giran's Greed, specifically focusing on development strategies for creating powerful weapons. It provides an overview of development equipment and related technologies, with some tables of data listing development costs, research periods, base stats, and potential MS/May development capabilities. There's information on prioritizing technology upgrades and how to effectively allocate resources. Quote. This page is from Sega Saturn Fan Magazine and focuses on Shining Force 2I, Scenario 2, The Broken Goddess. Providing a strategy guide for the game's 3rd chapter, it covers 3 towns and 7 battles.
The page provides information on navigating Aneffect Village, detailing item locations, and the village's layout, plus recommended equipment. A walkthrough for Battle 6 involves stopping the Profondo army, where terrain is altered by cannon fire. The map and strategy for the battle against Stella at Aneffect Dock are detailed, including the option to save Stella. Battle 7 covers the battle against the Garzel army in the northern Aneffect Highlands, with tips on defeating Kaiser Guard. Also includes how Zero from Scenario 1 rejoins the party. A map and strategy for Battle 8 involves navigating the Great Underground Cave, where you recruit Hazuki. Tactics for the Succubus battle are provided, including enemy placements and the recruitment of Hazuki and how to make them join you, along with a list of the enemies that include succubus and vampy bats and goblins and worms and scapegoats. This page from Sega Saturn Fan focuses on Shining Force 2I Scenario 2, The Broken Goddess, and features strategy guides for battles and towns. Battle 9 details how to clear the line-side northern plains by eliminating all monsters. The guide notes that the map lacks a boss and players must defeat all enemies to clear it. This includes vampire bats, scapegoats, goblins, and worms. It also provides information on what to do in Lineside Village, such as visiting the birdhouse and ensuring you have proper equipment. The page mentions finding an egg, which will allow you to include Pen in your party again. There is some advice to visit the weapon shop. The guide moves on to Battle 10, which tasks the player with protecting the Symbios army. This battle involves ambushing the Ekuaru army at the Hanging Bridge southwest. Battle 11 focuses on progressing through the woods, detailing the Great Tree Path battle, both inside and outside the tree. It provides strategies for the battle against Wolf Barons and navigating the dungeon. Enemies include Wolf Baron, Succubus, Skeletons, Hunter Elves, Vampy Bats, and Zombies. Battle 12 centers on recruiting Head Shiva, emphasizing caution against counterattacks. The strategy covers the Maze Forest Corridor battle and the fight against the Masked Religious Order. Enemies in this area are Masked Religious Order, Head Kava, Vampy Bats, Succubus, Masked Religious Order, Hunter Elves, Skeletons, and Zombies. The page also lists equipment, prices, and classes with which the equipment can be used. This page covers strategies for the game Gungriffon 2, focusing on two missions, Valentin Pocket and Ice Crystal. For Valentin Pocket, the mission is to protect retreating allies near the Katara Basin. The guide recommends using gun, 3SG, and ATM weapons against tanks, helicopters, and walkers. The key is to prevent enemies from approaching the friendly units. It details strategies for dealing with combat helicopters by attacking them directly and using ATMS, engaging Strumpanzers by attacking from a distance with ATMS, and eliminating enemies hidden in the forest with aerial attacks. For Ice Crystal, the mission involves supporting a rescue helicopter and protecting a submerged submarine. Recommended weapons are gun, 3SG, ATM, MG, and ATM. The guide emphasizes learning enemy patterns and taking the initiative. Specific tactics include protecting the supply helicopter from AWGS attacks, intercepting Horkham's attacks on the rescue helicopter, and combating Sturmpanzer. The page also notes an Easter egg of a bonus character called Antonov, who appears as a bonus character. The next page provides strategies for more missions in Gungriffon 2. Mission 5, titled Angel Present, requires eliminating the enemy's high-mobility units to recapture a rocket launch site. The recommended weapons are gun, 3SG, RP, and ATM. The strategy emphasizes engaging high-mobility enemies from a distance to avoid being surrounded. Mission 6, Counterattack, involves destroying 3 C-17 transport planes before they take off. Gun, 3SG, and MG, ATM are recommended, and it stresses prioritizing the C-17s as targets. Mission 7, Hell's Highway, involves escorting friendly units across the Yellow River, with the recommended weapons being gun, 3SG, MG, and ATM, due to the foggy conditions and numerous enemies. The strategy focuses on precise maneuvers to avoid falling off bridges and managing the combat helicopters and mobile suits. Special attention is given to the VW-1 that appears on the highway, and there is a bonus for shooting down 3 bonus enemies after the VW-1. This page provides a complete attack and analyze strategy for Sakura Wars 2, focusing on the fourth episode where Kohran is the main character. The episode involves a lot of lips, living interactive picture system, events that affect character relationships. The page lists key locations like the hospital, theater salon, imperial map, a restaurant, and battle locations, offering tips for each. It mentions that the story starts with visiting the hospital to see Ensign Yoneda, and players should compliment Sakura's summer dress. The page notes choices that increase or decrease trust with various characters, offering some tips on how to navigate the trust system. The guide also covers events in the theater, the second floor of the Imperial Theater, where you can meet Iris and Sumair, and it details the requirements to complete a bonus event with Iris. It gives advice on how to talk to the characters, such as when to compliment, specific things to select for the character to get a major love points, or decrease the love points. The page also offers tips on how to progress Kohran's story and solve a mystery, along with what to do in the theater. There is a mini-game that involves Kohran's experiments and selecting the right choices. The next page continues the Sakura Wars 2 strategy guide, focusing on choices and locations to maximize character relationships, particularly with Kohran. It covers events at the Imperial Theater's first floor, including the courtyard and music room where you can play minigames, and gives tips for events in the kitchen and dining hall, aiming to boost Kohran's trust. It details key choices during the Kohran's Choice event at the restaurant, with advice on handling the sudden fire and how to rescue Kohran and escape. There is an additional bit covering the battle strategy, advising on vehicle placement to defeat enemies. The page emphasizes the importance of the living interactive picture system, LIPS, choices for building relationships, and includes some notes on what to select. This page focuses on strategy and reader interaction, particularly regarding Sakura Wars 2. The strategy section details two battle scenarios, one involving a decoy tactic and another focused on defense. For the decoy strategy, it advises keeping units to the upper part of the map to prevent enemies from targeting vehicles. The defense strategy prioritizes destroying enemies near the armored units. Boss battle information is also included, specifically for the Firewheel boss. It gives tips on team setup and attack strategies, highlighting the importance of dealing significant damage to the boss while managing other enemies. A reader's voice section features comments and experiences from players of various games, including The House of the Dead, Shining the Holy Ark, and Daytona USA. The comments range from humorous anecdotes to gameplay tips and personal stories. A top 10 list of popular articles from the magazine is also present, with Sakura Wars 2 and Super Robot Wars F topping the charts. Please provide the text you want me to summarize. This page from Sega Saturn Fan Magazine features a ranking street section, showcasing game performance charts, reader rankings, and game reviews. Sakura Wars 2, Thou Shalt Not Die, tops the charts with an impressive score, narrowly missing the top spot in the all-time rankings. The page includes reader comments and ratings for several games, with Sakura Wars 2 praised for its enhanced lip system, character development, and overall immersive experience. Other games mentioned include Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 2, Sega Ages Phantasy Star Collection, Dungeon Master Nexus, The King of Fighters 97, Dragon Force 2, House of the Dead, Nobunaga's Ambition, Evangelion Iron Maiden, Winning Post 3, and more. Some reviewers express concerns about the difficulty balance in Sakura Wars 2, and the repetitiveness of special move animations, and the lack of mid-battle saves. The magazine also provides feedback from game developers. The next page features the Ranking Street section of the magazine and reader reviews of various games. Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 2, Rainbow of Love, is ranked second, with positive comments about its engaging story and well-developed characters. One reviewer praises the detailed scenarios and realistic character interactions, while another appreciates the minigames and unlockable content. Some criticisms include a lack of focus on the main heroine and a preference for the previous installment. Sega Ages / Phantasy Star Collection is in third place, with reviewers happy about the restoration and collection of these classic titles, especially for those who own the original room cartridges. Dungeon Master Nexus is fourth, praised for retaining the core gameplay of the original while adding improvements, but criticized for its cumbersome controls. The King of Fighters 97 is ranked fifth, praised for its improved graphics and character patterns, but criticized for the long loading times and Slank's typically high difficulty. Dragon Force 2 is sixth, with mixed opinions. Some appreciate the easy-to-understand system and dramatic story, while others criticize it for failing as a sequel and lacking the charm of the original.
Waku Waku Puyo Puyo Dungeon is 7th, praised for its enjoyable gameplay and unique world, but criticized for its similarities to other dungeon crawlers. This page features Ranking Street, a section showcasing reader reviews for several Sega Saturn games. The House of the Dead is ranked 8th, praised for its engaging story, zombie enemies, and branching paths, with some criticism about minor graphical issues. Nobunaga's Ambition, Lord of the Stars, is ranked 9th, with positive comments on its updated system and historical accuracy. Some reviewers noted a lack of polish and a lack of strategic depth. Neon Genesis Evangelion, Iron Maiden, is at number 10, is praised for its characters and story, with some criticism regarding the lack of gameplay elements. Koro Q Park is ranked 11th, praised for its fun and unique take on the racing genre, but criticized for its loading times and awkward controls. Greatest 998 is ranked 12th, is praised for its faithful recreation of baseball, while criticism is leveled at the lack of innovation and repetitive gameplay. Winning Post 3 is ranked 13th, is praised for its in-depth horse racing simulation, but criticized for its complexity and some gameplay mechanics.
SQ Sound Cube is ranked 14th, praised for its unique sound-based gameplay, while criticism is made regarding the repetitive nature. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize.
The next page is an announcement for the second Saturn Fan Cup for J-League Pro Soccer Club o Tsukuru 2. Let's make a pro soccer club. 2. Readers are invited to apply with their team details, including team name, system, tactics, and a password.
There are specific instructions on how to write the password clearly.
There's also a continue report section focusing on the delay of Real Sound 2 Kiri no Orgel, Real Sound 2 Orgel of Mist. The report details the reasons for the delay, primarily due to difficulties with sound compression technology, highlighting the challenges faced in developing the game and the decision to postpone its release. A quote is included by Kenji Ino, talking about the delay. A small section at the bottom shows some details of the game and prices. This page is a reader participation form from Saturn Fan Magazine number 10. The form requires personal information, such as address, name with furigana, and phone number. It includes a section for rating games from page 59 and selecting a desired gift. The form also includes instructions for mailing in the entry and notes on where to affix the postage stamp. The next page features an in-depth preview of Real Sound 2, Kiri no Orgel, Real Sound 2, Mist Organ, with an invitation for companies to port Short Warp to the Saturn. It discusses the advancements in Real Sound 2, particularly the enhanced audio compression and the implementation of a new multi-stream playback system for richer soundscapes. This enables developers to create intricate audio experiences with multiple simultaneous sound sources. The page touches on the challenges of porting Short Warp to the Saturn and includes comments from Mr. Zeno, who just had his first son, as well as snippets about a potential Dino Shokutaku, D's Diner, Director's Cut edition. The page invites those with Saturn development experience to consider porting it. Additionally, there is an announcement for the Dino Shokutaku 2, D's Diner 2, production presentation, which includes a live performance, a song by Hideki Saijo, and a demonstration of the game. There are small screenshots from the minigame collection Short Warp, with a panel for Oyaji Hunter, which translates to middle-aged man or old man hunter, and Fropinkun 2 puzzle. This page focuses on the dungeon aspects of Grandia, highlighting it as a digital museum with challenging dungeons exceeding the main game's difficulty. The page provides a guide to 4 dungeons featuring key characters Justin, Sue, and Fina. It describes the goal of finding items stored at the Allet Museum, with access to these items mainly through exploring the 4 dungeons. It briefly introduces the Nusa relics, with moon, star, and sun objects, plus 6 floors, the Garlisle military base, where the player encounters familiar characters like Saki, Mio, and Nana, and features Delta Attack. Also, there is the oil field Azu, a maze-like area with a roller coaster-like path, and the Tower of Geos, where paths float in the sky. The page also mentions new, powerful items available at the start of the game, or at Guido's shop, exceeding the power of those in the main game. It features some enemies like the King Tortoise. The next page is an advert for Become the Coach for the National Team, which is a football RPG. The page highlights simulating the France World Cup, featuring a match between Japan versus Jamaica. You begin the game deciding the main character's name and type. The page details information gathering and facilities access, which includes player hotels, team training camps, and stadiums. As a coach, you can invest in technology, manage finances, start matches, and change players. You can choose to coach teams from different countries, such as France, Germany, Spain, and Italy.
Each country has its own culture.
The page also mentions finding superstar players from those countries to join your team. This page previews Langrisser V, The End of Legend, showcasing scenarios 3 through 6. The narrative involves Sigma and Lambda, artificial beings created in a magic research lab, pursued by reinforcers. Scenario 3 focuses on the capture of Omega, while Sigma and Lambda escape to Nox, encountering Claret.
Scenario 4 details the party adding Alfred and attempting to flee Nox, facing both Gold Country and Commander Vieira. Players are reminded of Vieira's strength from previous games. Scenario 5 continues, with the group escaping and meeting Brenda, a female mercenary leader. Scenario 6 sees Alfred framed for his father's murder and seeking refuge in a fortress. Sigma and his team are tasked with retrieving a crystal, leading them to Alfred in the Renault region. The page also touches on character relationships, like Alfred's family, and Sigma's complicated feelings. Release information for the game is included with a price of 6,300 yen. The next page features a spread for the game Angelique Duet, highlighting its story, characters, and gameplay. The game features two potential protagonists, Angelique and Rosalia, who are rivals vying for the title of queen. Players choose which character to play as, with the unchosen character becoming their rival. Each character has unique traits and preferences, such as Angelique's carefree nature and love for sweets, and Rosalia's high pride and strong will. New events and features include ways to build relationships with both the rival and the guardians. Players can give gifts and experience special events, such as viewing the dreams of the guardians. The game includes minigames with idols. You can win rewards, specifically punishment games featuring live-action idols. There are 8 idols featured in the game, split into 2 groups, the Strawberry Group, which features younger ladies, and the Peach Group, which features more adult ladies. The minigames available are Look This Way, Hippopotamus, Pico Pico Pond, and The Rocket. There is also a roulette that randomly selects the minigame.
This page features Revolutionary Girl Utena, an adventure game adaptation of the anime series. It's described as an official side story to the TV show, somewhere between episodes 8 and 9, with the staff fully cooperating to ensure it fits seamlessly within the anime's 39-episode run. The protagonist isn't Utena herself, but rather the player, a transfer student at Otori Academy. One key aspect is the introduction of an original character for the Saturn version, a mysterious duelist named Sanjo Ine Chigusa. The player's interactions and dialogue choices influence the heart's height of other duelists, changing the story and climax. Also included are the key characters from the anime series and new artwork created for the game. There is also a contest to win Utena figurines by answering a question about Akikyo's car license plate number. Quote,
The winners from the previous contest are then listed.
The next page is focused on Uninhabited Island Story R, a simulation game where the player leads a group of 6 stranded individuals on a deserted island, trying to survive and find love. The player takes on the role of the leader, directing the others to explore, gather resources, and cook. The game features 8 potential female love interests, ranging in age from 13 to 23, each with their own personalities. 2 male rivals also compete for the girls' affections. The goal is to improve relationships with the girls by working together, going on walks, and eventually dating. There's a twist. The island is doomed to be destroyed by a nuclear test in 3 months, so the group needs to escape. The game mechanics involve exploring the island, investigating discoveries, cooking meals, and managing character relationships. The player makes choices that affect the story and the character's feelings. The page includes screenshots of gameplay, character portraits, and descriptions of the characters and gameplay mechanics. This page introduces Shadows of Tusk, a turn-based simulation game featuring card game elements and trading battles. The game emphasizes collecting characters to broaden strategic options. It supports X-Band for online play, and includes a story mode and an anti-mode where you can win characters. The page details deck creation in the edit screen, using mana to summon characters during battle. You build your squad from available characters, considering their skills and compatibility. It also describes basic battle tactics, such as turn order, managing mana, movement, and utilizing attacks and summons. Several characters are introduced: Cavalry, Harry Webb, and Rample, along with the protagonist, Richard Rosewall, and female characters like Chrissy and Pamela. Tusk characters have detailed backstories, with 38 special profile cards included in the product. There's a listing for the game's release date, developer, and price. The game features 5 modes to play. This page presents Super Real Mahjong P7, the latest in the Undressing Mahjong King P series. It highlights the game's arcadey quality graphics and includes additional content for the Saturn version. The page features Asahina Natsuki, voiced by Tomoko Sumiyoshi, who excels in sports and hates to lose. It also introduces Asahina Yurina, voiced by Junko Nomura, a popular student who works part-time at a cafe, and Todohara Etsuko, voiced by Hinako Kinamaru, a maid who works at the Asahina household. Rando Seiko is featured as well, and the player meets her as a family member or gardener teacher. The Saturn version introduces new locations, like the villa grounds, pool, and beach. The face window is lively and expressive, and the characters' costumes change based on their undressed state. There are also original anime scenes featuring Yurina. The page also showcases a quiz about the game, asking about a mark on a helmet. Setting data for a female character is shown. The next page features a review of GT24 for the Sega Saturn, a racing game that builds upon the Super GT 24 Hours arcade version. It emphasizes skilled driving and offers a variety of modes including a 24-hour endurance race, Grand Prix, and time attack. The game features 6 cars with different strengths in acceleration, top speed, and handling. The review section includes profiles of various reviewers, such as Shigeru Arata, who enjoys simple but engaging games, Kazuki Kato, a fan of simulation games, and Kaiko Okumura, who appreciates titles with well-developed stories. The page also lists anticipated software releases from May 14th to May 28th, with brief comments on some of them. The reviewers give their thoughts, with commentary on games like one based on an anime and various titles, with a scale of 7 out of 7 given to each. There is a review of Baroque, a role-playing game set in a ruined world. The game is praised for its immersive atmosphere and addictive gameplay. This page is dedicated to Sega Saturn software impressions, highlighting several games. First up is Grandia Digital Museum, a fan disc for Grandia, featuring databases, minigames, and new mini-dramas. The reviewer appreciates the content, but finds the dungeon exploration required to unlock everything too difficult. Next is Melty Lancer Reinforce, where the scenario is praised, but the reviewer notes a lack of romantic elements. Despite the reduced scale, the storyline of the main character's growth is well received. Shadows of the Tusk is described as a strategy game that's easy to get into. The reviewers like the balance between simplicity and strategy, though some note the long load times. Private Nurse R, Two People's Love Land, is a remake of the PC game described as a straightforward dating sim. The reviewer finds the characters appealing but dislikes the unnecessary suggestive scenes. Idol Janshi Final Romance 4 is a mahjong game that adds adventure elements. The reviewer enjoys the characters and gameplay, but is bothered by the frequent loading screens. Finally, Revolutionary Girl Utena, Someday Revolutionize the World, is an adventure game based on the anime. While the reviewer appreciates the game, they feel it doesn't quite live up to the quality of the TV series and recommend it for fans. The next page features a review session where reviewers discuss their impressions of the game Shadows of the Tusk, praising its strategic gameplay and character card system, but mentioning the initial difficulty in understanding the rules. They highlight the importance of each card and character, as well as the tactical depth despite the small field size. The reviewers also discuss player matching using X-Band. There are also impressions on Digital Museum, with mixed opinions on its difficulty, and Baroque, a game praised for its world building despite some system issues. The page also interviews Masajiro Endo from Faircraft, the director of Metamor Versus, discussing the game's concept, character design, and his passion for storytelling through games. Endo mentions his preference for creating stories within limited settings, drawing inspiration from shows like Robocon, and his focus on giving each of the 5 main characters in Metamor V distinct personalities. He also expresses his interest in manga as a storytelling medium, and his desire to create games that evoke emotion.
This page is an introductory guide to Cyber Troopers Virtual Oratorio Tangram, focusing on mastering the basics of dashing and jumping. It explains the new vertical turn action, which allows players to change dash directions multiple times within a single dash. The article emphasizes its importance for aiming attacks accurately and recommends practicing to freely change directions. It also discusses actions after a vertical turn, advising players to adapt based on the opponent's movements, and the options available after jumping, including jump dashes and canceling. It highlights the importance of jump cancels for dodging attacks and recommends landing after dodging with low air control units. There's also a section on using jump canceling for scanning enemies and a note on the differences in jump attack effectiveness compared to previous games. Additionally, the page illustrates the angles at which turns are possible during a dash, noting the limitations based on the initial dash direction. Screenshots of gameplay are included to illustrate these concepts. The next page dives deeper into strategies for Cyber Troopers Virtual Oratorio Tangram, specifically focusing on the Raiden unit. The page offers a detailed breakdown of Raiden's special moves, or turbo shots, listing their effects and button combinations. The page covers actions such as the standing, crouching, and jumping trigger attacks, which involve firing missiles with varying range and power. It also explains RAL trigger attacks, which launch energy bombs with different explosion patterns, and special L+R trigger attacks that create electric nets to immobilize opponents. The guide also gives advice on using specific combos, like the spiral laser, and mentions that some attacks are more effective in certain situations. It includes tips for employing tactics, like trapping opponents with the electric net, and following up with powerful laser attacks. Lastly, the page features gameplay screenshots demonstrating the Raiden's various attacks and strategies in action. The next page is about Daytona USA 2, Battle on the Edge, a sequel to the classic racing game. It highlights that 4 years have passed since the original. The game features updated graphics with Model 3, Step 2, CG board, improved visuals, and enhanced realism. The sequel offers more accessible gameplay, introducing 3 types of cars to choose from: easy, normal, and hard. Easy cars are designed for beginners with better handling, while hard cars are for experienced players who enjoy drifting. The page showcases the game's course selection, which includes beginner, intermediate, and advanced tracks set in locations like parks, theme parks, and cities. Up to 16 players can participate in multiplayer races. Returning features include time attack, player-only mode, and the original soundtrack. The music for this release was composed by former Winger band members. This page continues to delve into Daytona USA 2, highlighting the game's improved graphics and crash sequences. With the use of the Model 3 board, crashes look more realistic with visible damage to the cars. The game incorporates Crash Impact Generator and Direct Rolling Motorized System for a more immersive experience. The page also introduces Esprade, a new shooting game from Cave, featuring 3 ESP-powered characters battling the criminal organization Yasha. The game mechanics involve an 8-directional lever, A and B shots, and a C button for guard barriers. Players can enhance their shots and unleash powerful attacks after using the guard barrier. The page also provides tips on how to score high points in Esprade by using AB shots strategically. It also shows info on the 5 stages of the game and the characters, including Misaka Irori and Soto Kyosuke. Lastly, there's a section about a promotional event where people could experience riding in a stock car at Twin Ring Motegi. This page showcases Street Fighter 03, the latest installment in the Street Fighter Zero series. It highlights the new ISM Select system, which allows players to choose character attributes, influencing the super combo gauge. The page mentions new characters, including Karin, an original character from the Sakura Ganbaru manga, and Kami, who was previously in the Saturn version of 02. Returning characters like El Honda and Balrog are also featured, with notes on their updated moves and appearances. Blanca also makes a return, along with his electrical moves. The page also features screenshots from the game. The next page dives into hidden secrets and ultra techniques for various Sega Saturn games, awarding cash prizes for submitted tips based on their usefulness and uniqueness. For Vampire Savior, it reveals how to unlock hidden characters and X options. One trick involves manipulating the character select screen to transform characters, such as turning QB into a strange monster,
or selecting the Hunter version of Phobos. There's also a way to access X options by completing the game without using continues and then manipulating the title screen. Bomberman Wars unveils hidden units and bosses, explaining how to unlock the Prince unit in quest mode and how to trigger battles against hidden bosses like Honey and Kotetsu in specific stages. Speeding up gameplay is also covered. Waku Waku Puyo Puyo Dungeon includes tips on how to avoid hunger and launch a Carcoon beam, with descriptions of the beam's different levels of power. Graduation 2, I Wedding Bell details how to unlock hidden content by entering specific names on the name entry screen. J-League Jikyu, Hanu no Striker lists the conditions for unlocking 6 hidden teams in the game. Nobunaga's Ambition. Howden Runo explains how to access a hidden scenario by inputting a specific sequence of button presses on the scenario selection screen. Finally, the page includes a call for readers to submit their own Ultra techniques for Sega Saturn games, with an address and fax number provided. A Sega Saturn Fan Magazine features news on the controversial 18+ rating of Detective Saburo Jinguji, End of Dreams on Saturn, due to depictions of drug use. Data East, the developer, and Sega cited strict guidelines against illegal activities. The magazine also announces the opening of a Sakura Wars shop, the Tokyo Character Show, a Capcom title guessing game, a new Konami trading card series, and a Saturn Day event at Tokyo Joyopolis with actor Hiroshi Fujioka. Advertisements for Konami cards and the Sega Japanese homepage conclude the page. This page features a report on the Sega Touring Car Championship Time Attack contest, where readers of the magazine competed in the game. The top participants received trophies and touring car goods from Sega. The page lists the winners in the beginner, intermediate, and advanced courses of the contest. The page advertises the OVA Dukyusei 2, Chapter 10, Encounter, and then, quote, highlighting the return of the series and the voice actress Hikari Tachibana's commitment to the role. There is also a section on the new unit Flower Children by Chisa Yokoyama and Megumi Toyoguchi, with details on their debut album Love no Densetsu and live event. A Vampire Savior Goods section introduces a disc telecard set and a character file system, both featuring original illustrations. Finally, there is an event listing for the Passwords live performance by musicians involved in game music. The page also features CD and video game music news, including game tributes and soundtracks. Game Tribute, a tribute album for the 20th anniversary of Space Invaders featuring famous artists. Zuntada's Works Shu, a rare selection of works by Shu known for Camera 2000 and other games. Fighting Vipers 2, the soundtrack of the arcade game. Baroque original soundtrack. Devil Summoner, Soul Hackers Hyper Rearrange. Real Bout Fatal Fury 2, The Newcomers. Finally, a contest gives away several games to lucky winners. This page, titled Saturn Soft Navigator, offers the latest information and release schedules for Sega Saturn games. It highlights upcoming and popular titles. It starts with a Konami Antiques MSX Collection Ultra Pack, which includes 30 classic Konami MSX titles, such as Time Pilot, Super Cobra, Konami's Tennis, Magical Tree, Konami's Boxing, Twinbee, Gradius, and Parodius. Next is AI Shogi 2, a shogi game with AI. It features different difficulty levels and assistance functions, and includes 100 shogi puzzles. Ultraman Zukan 3 is a database featuring Ultraman Leo, 80, Powered, and Tiga, with character and monster information, and includes audio and video clips with the addition of MPEG support. Image Fight and X Multiply Arcade Gears consists of 2 arcade shooters developed by Irem, Image Fight and X Multiply. Image Fight offers speed control, and X Multiply features a unique tentacle weapon. Caritas is an action game where players try to knock opponents out of the field, with each character having unique moves. Soul Divide is a horizontal scrolling shooter with sword and magic attacks, where consecutive kills increase scores and magic spells grant special abilities. Umi B, Beach, D Reach combines adventure and mahjong, where players improve relationships with girls through mahjong. The next page shows development progress and release dates for various Sega Saturn titles. Deep Fear is listed with a release date of July 16th and an unknown development percentage. The description mentions an undersea horror story. Backloader, also from Sega, has an unknown release date and development percentage, and it is noted for its CG integration. Nihon Daihyo Team no Kantoku ni Naru.
Sekai Hatsu Soccer RPG, or J.League Pro Striker, is marked at 80% completion with a release date of June 11th. Pocket Fighter is at 100% completion with a July 9th release. High School Terra Story is at 60% development with a July 23rd release. Konami Antiques MSX Collection Ultra Pack is complete, releasing July 23rd. Detective Jinguji Saburo Dream's End is complete and releasing July 9th. Electric Car Go is 70% complete with a summer release. And Friends Youth Shine is 80% complete and also has a summer release. Pia Carrot Hi Yokoso 2, or Welcome to Pia Carrot 2 is at 50% with an autumn release. Slayers Royal 2 is at 55% development with a 1998 release date, while Real Sound 2 has an unknown development percentage and release date. The page also includes a new release calendar featuring games scheduled for release in May, June, and beyond, listing titles such as Multilander Reinforce, Shadows of the Tusk, Find Love 2, iShogi 2, Linda Cube Complete, High School Terra Story, Magic Knight Ray Earth, and Pia Carrot Hi Yokoso 2. This page of Sega Saturn Fan Magazine highlights upcoming games, release dates, and staff involved in the magazine's production. The issue is dated May 29th and promises to cover the latest Sega hardware and the D-Sequel's debut. The Game Index covers titles such as Idol Janshi Final Romance 4, Another Memories, Angelic Duet, Image Fight and X Multiplier, Vampire Savior, iShogi 2, King of Games, and Ganglion 2. There is a small preview image of Sakura Wars 2 and Black Matrix. The page also includes an index of advertisements featuring games like Luna 2, Eternal Blue, High School Terra Story, CD Drama, Desire, Starlight Mary, and Another Memories. The development progress and release dates are listed with High School Terra Story, aiming for a summer release. The team credits list many individuals involved in editing, writing, design, and other production aspects of the magazine, but is summarized as including editors, assistants, and managers from various departments. Finally, there is a full-page promotion for High School Terra Story, which will be released in summer and promises a high-quality, enhanced version for the Sega Saturn, with a campaign for exclusive poster included. The next page is a promotion for Shadows of the Tusk, a character battle simulation game for 1 to 2 players. It emphasizes strategic deck building and features character designs by Susumu Matsushita. The game boasts 40 characters, promises deep battles, and supports the X-Band service for online play. The release date is May 21st, with a price of 6,800 yen. A bonus of character profile cards is mentioned, also shows off some characters and some in-game screens. There are also some specs of the game and system. This page features the cover of Saturn Fan Magazine, specifically Volume 10 from 1998. It showcases Shining Force 2, Scenario 2, Nara Wareta Shinji, translated as The Targeted Godchild, or The Runaway God. The cover highlights key characters from the game, and is seen with a ship, tentacles, and a flying character. A promotional section emphasizes the synchronized 3-part series, promoting the depth and excitement of Scenario 2. The text mentions a Sega Saturn Festa in Tokyo Joyopolis. It also contains some release info, promotional texts, the magazine details, contact info, and legal/copyright details.